What's up, nerds? This is going to be my review for The Tick Season 1. I just want to start off by saying that this is an Amazon show, and how this got started was Amazon made the pilot, and they released it for free. Anybody could watch it, and if it got enough people to watch it, they were going to turn it into a series. And I'm so glad. I mean, I couldn't have gotten the message out fast enough and as much to watch a show. I thought the pilot was great, and I love The Tick, so I was super excited about it. I used to watch the cartoon when I was younger in the 90s, and then they had the first live action TV show. I believe it was in 2001. And I just thought it was great. I love the Tick character. I love that whole world and everything where anybody can be a superhero or a supervillain. And I just thought it was really great. So to get into this, it was a little different from those two, the cartoon and the first live action show. But what I first want to start is talk about the characters. And I want to start off with... I normally would start from my least favorite to my favorite, but the thing about this show was I loved all the characters, even the ones that were just like not even that big a deal. And I'm just gonna name them probably from least important to important or whatever, and just really get into them. So I want to talk about. We'll start with Ramses. For a starter villain, he was good. I really liked it. I liked how he made everybody get the tattoo on their eye, and then Lind was like, it's stupid kind of thing. But I really thought that he was a good boss and everything, and a good test for Lint. And speaking of Lint, or Miss Lint, I thought she was a really good villain, a really good female villain. I thought that the actress did a really good job. I liked her. I liked her bracelets when she didn't have them off, and then when she was fighting Arthur in his parents' house, and the vacuum exploded, and she just had lint all over, and she kept having to take it off and everything because her powers were. She just kept bringing all this junk onto her, and I loved her relationship with her ex-husband and their apartment. How they were like divorced, but he still got half of the apartment, so he still lived there, and they still lived together. I loved that whole thing, and he was very like, what did he say? Like, did you drink my organic grape juice? I don't remember, but it was just that whole thing was funny. I really loved that about it. And then Dot, I really liked Dot as a character, and she's not the least important, but I just want to talk about her because she doesn't have superpowers, but she's a medical, she's a nurse and I loved how the actress, I loved her. She was in the show The Following, I believe. Yeah, The Following, and she did a great job there. But this show, she really did another great job. I thought she was so great, and I just loved her character and everything. And I really hope that they expand on her character in season 2 and they give her more stuff to do. Then I want to talk about Superior. And and I'll just real quick get into the show. The whole thing about, I'll get into it when I talk about the Terror, but the Superior was your typical superhero. He's Superman, basically, but he's kind of a dick. He doesn't care about anybody else. He didn't do anything to save the world at this point, but he took credit for it, and he was all like, look at me, which is understandable. That's how some people get and everything. But at the same time, I just go, he wasn't that great. And he was very like, I'm going to do whatever I want, and if you don't like that, you're going to have an issue kind of thing. And I always think that's a horrible way to be around people, especially if you want to have a constant dialogue with stuff going on. And we might talk about him a little bit more when we get on to talk about the Terror. And then I want to talk about Overkill and the boat. I really liked, I loved the boat, how he is homosexual. The boat is homosexual, even though it's just a boat, and how he is like got this cute little crush on Arthur. And I loved when Arthur was taking a shower, and the boat was all like, did I make things awkward when we took a shower this morning? And then Arthur was like, we didn't take a shower. I was in the shower. I took a shower, and it was something like that. It was so funny. I loved that line. And I love when the boat was also when Arthur left or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, but then he's all like, something like Arthur will never love me or something like that. I don't think Arthur's gonna like me. I can't remember all of the stuff verbatim, but it was super funny. Whoever is writing this show, and I wish I would have looked it up before I did this review, but they're doing a really good job on that kind of stuff. It's just so funny. And Overkill, I really, you know what I didn't see coming? Overkill being oh gosh, what's his name? Like Six Shooter or something? I can't remember. He was in the Flag 5 at the beginning when the Terror killed the Flag 5, except for the shooter guy. They only they took his eyes because what did they shoot it with? Syphilis or something like that? I can't remember off the top of my head. And then they crushed his hands, and I didn't see it when he was all like, they took his eyes and his hands, and he's like, you're, you know, Six Shooter. I think that was the name of his character when he was in the Flag 5. But I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. I didn't see that coming and everything. So I really liked that portion. I love twists and everything. So I really liked that a lot. The Terror, we'll talk about him. So the whole thing about the Terror is he gets into a fight. He's a big bad guy, kills the Flag 5 because they're like the big, you know, superhero team at the time, and he kills all of them except for Midnight, which is their dog. And then he pretends to be killed by Superion, and there's this big explosion, and they find his teeth. And obviously the Terror took out his teeth. And then, so there's a big explosion. They all think the Terror is dead. So the Terror goes into hiding. And he then sets up all this stuff, and he gets this doctor who has found this pieces of this meteorite, basically kryptonite, that the Superion arrived with. And he turns that into a weapon against Superion to kill him. Because the Terror is all like, well, Superion's the strongest superhero. You can't basically beat him physically, so I'm going to do it this way. So then he gets this rock or whatever, and he creates this big giant man, and it's in fact the guy that originally found the teeth of the Terror in the explosion with their fight. And he makes him this big, huge guy, basically giant man, and he's creating the rock inside of him. I can't remember what it's called, the rock, but he's creating inside it. And Superion, whenever he gets close, he just gets weaker, kind of like Superman would around green kryptonite. And then the Tick and Arthur and them, they come in and save the day. But, so the Terror, let me just say right now, I hope this character comes back for season 2. He didn't die, he did get frozen by, Superion, but he's such a good bad guy, and I loved how he was doing the drums to try to, and he's, you know, he had the teacher, and the teacher was like throwing stuff at him. He's like, you're behind. You're very, very whiplashy. And he was like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing good enough. You're 2 seconds behind and everything. And then he's like, was that okay? Is that okay what I did there and everything? And it was just so good. The Terror was a great bad guy. If he doesn't come back for season 2, maybe season 3, because I don't like it when they keep recycling bad guys on shows. It's fun when they bring somebody new and then they bring somebody back later on. But so then I want to talk about Arthur, and I really liked Arthur a lot. I thought that he was our connection to this show, and I really just thought he's such a great guy. Like, as a kid, his father and him were doing ice cream. The Flag 5 ship crash landed on top of their car, killing his father, who was paying the parking meter. And the Terror gets out and eats the kid's ice cream and terrorizes him, and he goes into therapy and everything. And as he grows up, he's trying to prove that the Terror is still alive. And Arthur was such a grounded person. Like, he's like, and nobody believes him because they think he's a quack about the Terror, but he's like, I am going to stick to my guns. I know the Terror is still alive. I can't prove it, but I know it's happening. And then when he finds out that his goal is to kill Superion, he's gung-ho about it. And even though everybody's calling him crazy, are you off your meds and everything, he's still gung-ho about it, and he still wants to try to stop the Terror, a man who killed his father. And then last but not least, I want to talk about the Tick. And the Tick is just a great character altogether. He's so funny, and he's very childlike. They didn't get into his backstory, which I found very, very interesting. As soon as they started talking about possibly him being a robot and everything, that part was super funny. But they started talking about him being from a different program. I thought that was great. I was like, oh my God, I hope they do a flashback, which they didn't do, but I was just like, man, I really wish they would have done that, and I hope they do it future seasons they show his past, because it was so great, and it was just very like, it was just great. They hadn't done it in the cartoon. They didn't do it in the first live action series, which only lasted a season, and I hope this one lasts more than one season because it's so great. But it was just so great. So moving on, I want to talk about some negative things. One thing that I didn't like about the show is it didn't have enough world building, in my opinion. They talk about Aegis, which is this registration of superheroes, and that's kind of no longer around and everything, but it does show up in the very last shot at the end, because Midnight says, Big Brother is watching you now, and then those drones show up and they say Aegis on it and everything. But what I really didn't like, in the cartoon and in the first live action show, is there's all these it's very mystery men, like, where there's anybody can be a superhero. One thing that I remember in the cartoon was there was even a superhero. She was like Poodle Lady or whatever, and I just remember she was only in like one scene for one shot, and she just had this big cannon and she just shot a bunch of poodles out of it. And I think like that's what this show is missing. It's missing the big huge world of superheroes, and I really wish that they would touch on that a little bit. And another thing that they did not mention or did not talk about in this show was the two characters that I wish they would have at least introduced or at least mentioned or something along the lines of was Batman and Captain Liberty. And in the first live action series, they were two characters that were in the main set of characters. And I really wish they would have introduced them, because I do like those characters. And like I said, I really like the world building aspect of it, which they're not doing. I don't think they're doing a great job of it. I wish they would do a little bit more. But I understand these things cost money, but I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but Amazon's got the money. They just spent a ton of money on a Lord of the Rings prequel series, so if they've got money to spend on that, then they've got money to spend on this, which is not going to be as much as that. So I would suggest watching this show. It's fantastic. It's so good. It's funny. It's energetic. I know you're gonna like it. I loved it, and I mean, if you don't like it, you've got a character flaw. I'll tell you that right now. So tell me what you thought about this video. You can leave your comments in the section down below. Hit that like button if you like it. If not, I understand. Subscribe if you feel the need. If not, I totally get it also. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.